Have you ever felt like someone completely hijacked your mood, just with a few careless words or an inconsiderate action? Maybe a stranger made a rude comment. Maybe a loved one dismissed your feelings. Maybe a reckless driver cut you off on the highway. And just like that, your peace was gone. But here's the real question. Did they truly ruin your day? Or did you let them? Here's a powerful truth. No one has the ability to control your emotions unless you give them permission. Imagine walking through life completely unaffected by negativity. People gossip, criticize, and complain, but none of it unsettles you. You remain calm, focused, and in control. You don't react to every minor irritation because you understand something that most people don't. Your peace is your responsibility. Your emotions are your choice. And that is exactly what the ancient Stoics mastered over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus didn't just talk about resilience, they lived it. They faced wars, betrayal, and exile, yet they remained unshaken. If they could do it, why can't we? Today, we're uncovering 10 powerful Stoic principles that will transform the way you handle negativity, criticism, and frustration. These aren't just abstract ideas, they are tools. Tools you can apply every day to stay calm, in control, and free from unnecessary suffering. So if you're tired of feeling stressed, angry, or easily irritated, and if you're ready to take back control, then this video is for you. Let's begin. Number 1. Your reactions are your choice. Picture this. You're sitting in your favorite cafe, sipping a warm cup of coffee, enjoying the quiet hum of the morning. The air is filled with the comforting scent of fresh pastries, and for a brief moment, everything feels just right. Then, out of nowhere, someone bumps into your table. Your coffee spills all over your shirt. Your first instinct? Frustration, annoyance, maybe even a few sharp words. But pause for a moment. What does reacting accomplish? Does getting angry make the coffee jump back into your cup? Number. Does it teach the other person a lesson? Probably not. Does it make you feel any better? Absolutely not. The only thing that truly changes in that moment is your own state of mind, and not for the better. Now take a step back. How often do we let small inconveniences dictate our entire day? A rude cashier, a delayed appointment, a careless remark online. We dwell on them, while the other person, they've already moved on. So who's really suffering? You have the power to choose. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it plainly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think of your emotions like a glass of water. If someone bumps into you, what spills out? Whatever was already inside. If you're filled with frustration, then frustration spills out. If you're filled with patience, then patience spills out. The world will always be chaotic. People will be rude. Things won't go as planned, but none of that controls your emotions, unless you let it. A simple mental shift. Next time something frustrating happens, try this. Pause. Instead of reacting immediately, take a deep breath. Give yourself space between stimulus and response. Reframe. Instead of thinking, this person just ruined my day, try, this is just a moment. I decide what it means to me. Let it pass. Imagine frustration as a passing cloud. You don't have to hold on to it. Just let it drift by. A real-life example. Meet Richard, a retired firefighter from Texas. He used to have a short fuse. Bad drivers, slow service, even his neighbor's barking dog would send him into a spiral of frustration. Then one day he came across a simple Stoic teaching. If you can control it, fix it. If you can't, don't let it control you. That lesson changed everything. Now when something irritating happens, he asks himself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, he lets it go. And just like that, his life became easier, calmer, and infinitely more enjoyable. The ultimate freedom. So the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, snaps at you in a store, or tests your patience, remember, they don't control your emotions. You do. Their behavior doesn't dictate your peace, your response does. And when you choose calm over chaos, peace over impulse, and wisdom over reaction, You don't just master your emotions, you set yourself free, because nothing and no one can disturb a mind that refuses to be disturbed. Number 2, stop expecting people to behave like you think about this. How many times have you given your time, energy, and effort to someone, helped a co-worker with a project, supported a friend through tough times, or been the first to reach out to a family member, only to feel let down when they didn't do the same for you? You tell yourself, if the roles were reversed, I would have been there for them. And maybe you would have. But here's the real issue. You're expecting people to live by your rulebook, but they have their own, and it's completely different from yours. Why expectations lead to disappointment? This is one of the biggest sources of frustration, not just in friendships, but in marriages, workplaces, and even in everyday encounters with strangers. We assume people should think, act, and respond the way we would, but they don't. And when they don't, we feel hurt. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it simply: when someone behaves badly toward you, remember that he is acting according to his own principles, not yours. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you're the type of person who always checks in on friends. You call, you text, you remember birthdays. But no one ever reaches out first. They only respond when you make the effort. And after a while you start thinking, why am I the only one who cares? Why do I always have to be the one to initiate? And that frustration builds. But what if you looked at it differently? What if, instead of seeing it as a personal insult, you simply saw it as who they are? Some people are naturally forgetful. Some people express care in different ways. Some people assume you're fine unless you say otherwise. It's not about you, it's about how they operate. How to let go of expectations. If expectations are causing you stress, try this simple mindset shift. Notice your assumptions. When someone disappoints you, ask yourself, what exactly was I expecting them to do? Challenge that expectation. Is it realistic to expect them to act the way I would? People have different priorities, values, and personalities. Refocus on yourself. Instead of being frustrated by what someone else didn't do, ask, what can I control? How can I respond with peace? A real-life perspective, meet Linda, a retired teacher from Ohio. For years, she felt let down by her siblings. She was always the one organizing family gatherings, making phone calls, and keeping in touch. But they never took the initiative. One day, she read something that changed her life. Love people for who they are, not who you want them to be. That was her light bulb moment. Now, she reaches out because she wants to, not because she expects anything in return. And just like that, her frustration disappeared. Number 3, let go of the need to always be right. Think back to the last argument you had. Maybe it was a heated debate over politics at Thanksgiving dinner, a small but frustrating disagreement with your spouse about the right way to load the dishwasher, or a tense exchange with a coworker who just wouldn't see your side. And in that moment, you felt the urge to prove your point, to make them understand, to win. But here's the real question. Did winning actually make your life better? Most of the time, arguments don't bring resolution. They bring resentment. You walk away frustrated, the other person walks away defensive, and nothing really changes. So why do we cling so tightly to the need to be right? The truth is, it's rarely about the argument itself. It's about ego. It's about the deep-seated belief that being right somehow validates us, that if we lose, we are diminished in some way. But the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius offered a powerful alternative. You always have the option of having no opinion. In other words, you don't have to engage in every battle. You don't have to correct every mistake, challenge every wrong assumption, or prove yourself in every conversation. Imagine you're standing in line at a coffee shop and someone rudely cuts in front of you. Your first instinct? Call them out. Make sure they know they were wrong. But stop for a moment and ask yourself, if I confront them, does it actually change anything? Do I really need this fight? Sure, you could prove your point, but at what cost? Your peace, your energy, your mood? And if you don't say anything, if you simply let it go, does that truly diminish you in any way? Here's a radical thought. Being right doesn't always make you happy. We often argue not because the issue is important, but because we feel like our intelligence, our values, or even our identity is being challenged. But truly strong people don't need to prove they're right. They simply live in a way that shows it. A wise person knows that the best way to win most arguments is to not have them in the first place. Next time you feel the urge to argue, try this simple Stoic trick. Pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? In a year? If the answer is no, let it go. A retired engineer named John once lived his life like a courtroom. Every discussion was a trial, every disagreement a case he had to win. Then one day he came across a simple question. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? That question changed everything. Now when an argument starts brewing, he asks himself, is this worth my peace? Most of the time the answer is no. And just like that, his life became calmer, lighter, and infinitely more enjoyable. Because sometimes the strongest response isn't proving you're right. It's choosing peace over pride, wisdom over impulse, and freedom over the need to win. Number 4, stop letting others' words define your worth. Think back to a time when someone's words stung you. Maybe a coworker mocked your suggestion in a meeting. Maybe a family member made a passing remark about your weight. Maybe you poured your heart into something, only for someone to casually dismiss it with a condescending, "That's dumb." And just like that, self-doubt creeps in. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought. Maybe my idea really was stupid. Maybe I'm not good enough. But here's the question. Why do their words carry so much power? Would you let a stranger off the street walk into your home, start rearranging your furniture, throwing out things you love, and redecorating however they please? Of course not. So why do we let random people rearrange the way we see ourselves? The Stoic perspective. Words are just sounds. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, once said, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations, but reply, 'You obviously don't know me very well.'" Words, no matter how cruel, are just sounds. They have no real power unless you believe them. Imagine you're in a foreign country and someone starts insulting you in a language you don't understand. Would you feel hurt? No, because their words don't mean anything to you. So why do the words of certain people, especially those who don't truly know you, hold so much weight? Because you let them. And that's where the real power lies, in your decision to accept or reject their words. How to stop letting others' words define you. The next time someone criticizes you, try this mental shift. 1. Pause. Instead of reacting immediately, stop and ask yourself, does this truly define me? More often than not, the answer is no. 2. Consider the source. If a random person on the internet insults you, does it really matter? Would you take life advice from them? If not, why take their criticism? 3. Reaffirm your own worth. You are not a product of someone else's opinion. You are a product of your own values, actions, and growth. The world is full of critics. Some people tear others down to make themselves feel bigger. Some project their own insecurities onto you. And some simply don't think before they speak. But at the end of the day, no one else's words can change who you are. So the next time someone tries to make you feel small, remind yourself, their words don't define you. Your actions do. And in the grand scheme of life, the only opinion that truly matters is your own. Number 5, protect your energy by setting boundaries. It's a rare Saturday morning, and for once, you finally have a day to yourself. Maybe you plan to sip coffee while reading a book, take a peaceful walk, or simply enjoy the stillness of your own thoughts. But then, the phone rings. A friend needs a favor. A coworker has a quick request. A family member unloads their problems on you without even asking how you're doing. And just like that, your time is no longer yours. Frustration sets in. Resentment builds. You feel drained. But before blaming others, stop and ask yourself, who is really at fault? Them, for asking, or you for always saying yes? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master." But let's take that further. Anyone who constantly drains your energy because you allow it controls you. Many people struggle to set boundaries because they feel guilty, as if prioritizing their own needs is selfish. But the truth is, Not setting boundaries is self-destructive. If you continuously give away your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth, what's left for you? The answer is simple: exhaustion, frustration, and the creeping sense that your life is dictated by everyone else's demands. So how do you reclaim control without guilt? Recognize when you feel drained. If certain people or situations consistently leave you emotionally exhausted, that's a sign you need boundaries. Be direct, not apologetic. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry, I just can't," say, "I appreciate you asking, but I'm unavailable." No excuses are necessary. Stick to your limits. People will test them. Expect it. The key is to stand firm. Meet Lisa, a retired teacher from Texas. For years, she was the go-to person for everyone, watching grandkids, running errands for neighbors, even helping out at her old school. But one day she had a realization. She was exhausted, but no one was checking on her. It hit her hard, so she made a change. Now when someone asks for her time, she responds with a simple but powerful phrase, "I'd love to help, but I need to take care of myself first." And guess what? People still respect her. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your own well-being. So ask yourself, is this truly worth my energy? Am I giving more than I can afford? Because at the end of the day, your peace is your responsibility, and protecting it isn't selfish. It's necessary. Number 6, detach from the opinions of others. Picture this. You've just decided to pursue something new. Maybe start a business, take up painting, or finally commit to getting in shape. You share your excitement with someone, expecting encouragement, but instead, you're met with doubt. That's unrealistic. Are you sure you can do that? I wouldn't waste my time if I were you. And just like that, a seed of doubt is planted in your mind. You start questioning yourself. What if they're right? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I should just stick to what I know. But pause for a moment. Why do their words hold so much power? Why do we let the doubts of others dictate the choices we make? The truth is, most people's opinions are not reflections of reality. They are projections of their own fears and limitations. Someone who has never taken a risk will tell you it's dangerous. Someone who failed will tell you it can't be done. Someone who never pursued their dreams will tell you yours are impossible. But here's the thing, that's their story, not yours. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, stop caring about what people think. Their opinions don't define you. Their judgments don't dictate your success. Their skepticism doesn't determine your potential unless you allow it to. So how do you free yourself from the weight of external opinions? First, question their authority. Ask yourself, has this person accomplished what I'm trying to do? Do they truly understand my path? If not, why let their opinion hold weight? Second, reaffirm your own direction. Your life is yours. Your goals are yours. The only approval you need is your own. Lastly, let go of external validation. Not everyone will understand your choices, and that's perfectly okay. You don't need them to. Take Tom, a retired mechanic from Arizona. One day he decided to learn the piano. When he told his friends, they laughed. "You? At your age? Why bother?" But Tom didn't care. He practiced anyway. A year later, he was playing full songs, and he was happier than ever. Had he listened to their doubts, he never would have even tried. Now ask yourself, if I stopped worrying about what others think, what would I do differently? If I lived for myself, how would my life change? Because the moment you stop letting outside voices control your life, you finally start living on your own terms. And that is true freedom. Number 7, respond with silence, not anger. Imagine this. You're standing in line at the grocery store, patiently waiting your turn, when suddenly someone cuts right in front of you. Your blood pressure rises. Your mind starts racing with all the ways you could respond. Should you call them out? Should you make a sarcastic remark? Should you stand there stewing in frustration? Every instinct tells you to react, to put them in their place. But instead, you say nothing. Not because you're weak, not because you're afraid, but because you refuse to give away your peace. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled over millions yet remained unshaken by insults and criticism, once said, "The best answer to anger is silence." Why? Because anger thrives on reaction. When someone insults you, they want a response. When someone provokes you, they want to pull you into their chaos. But when you remain silent, you deny them that power. Think of it like this. A fire needs oxygen to keep burning. If you keep fanning the flames, shouting back, arguing, getting upset, the fire grows. But if you cut off the oxygen, the fire dies out on its own. Silence is that oxygen cutoff. Think about a time when someone tried to start an argument with you. Maybe a coworker made a passive-aggressive remark. Maybe a family member tried to drag you into a pointless debate. And instead of engaging, you just smiled and walked away. Who really won in that situation? You did, because you didn't give them the reaction they wanted. You didn't waste your energy. You didn't let them control your emotions. Mastering the art of silence isn't about avoiding confrontation or suppressing your emotions. It's about choosing where to direct your energy. When faced with provocation, try this. Pause. Take a deep breath. Count to 3. Give yourself a moment of clarity before responding. Observe. Notice how your silence makes the other person uncomfortable, how their need for conflict fizzles when you don't engage. Choose calm. If you must respond, do so with measured words, not emotion. A simple "I hear you" or "that's your opinion" is enough. Take James, a retired police officer from Chicago. After decades on the job, he learned that arguing with angry people never solves anything. Now, whenever someone tries to bait him into conflict, he just smiles and calmly says, "You're entitled to your opinion." And that's it. No arguing, no raised voices. And guess what? The conversation ends right there. Because without his reaction, there's no fuel left for the fire. Ask yourself, how many times have I wasted energy on pointless arguments? What if I chose silence instead of anger? Because real strength isn't in proving you're right. It's in knowing you don't have to. And that's the ultimate victory. Number 8, practice gratitude to dissolve anger. Think about the last time you felt truly frustrated. Maybe your carefully made plans fell apart at the last minute. Maybe someone treated you unfairly, dismissing your effort or disrespecting your time. Maybe everything that could go wrong in a day did go wrong. And in that moment, anger took over. Your mind started racing with thoughts of injustice, unfairness, and frustration. But here's something powerful to consider. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. The Roman philosopher Cicero called gratitude the parent of all virtues. Why? Because gratitude doesn't just make you feel better. It transforms the way you see the world. When you focus on what you lack, you feel resentful. When you focus on what you have, you feel abundant. Anger thrives on what's missing, on what someone should have done, what didn't go your way, or what you wish had happened. Gratitude, on the other hand, grounds you in what's already good. And suddenly, that frustration loses its grip on you. Next time you feel anger rising, try this simple shift. Pause. The moment irritation strikes, stop. Take a deep breath before reacting. Find 3 things to be grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Maybe it's as simple as, I have a warm bed to sleep in tonight. I woke up today, and that's a gift. There are people in my life who care about me. Reframe the situation. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Take Susan, a retired nurse from Seattle. One day while standing in line at the pharmacy, someone rudely pushed past her to get ahead. She felt the immediate wave of irritation rising. Her first instinct was to react, to call them out, but then she stopped. Instead of letting anger take over, she practiced gratitude. I'm grateful that I even have access to medication. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful I have the patience to not let this ruin my day. And just like that, her frustration disappeared. The other person was still rude. The situation hadn't changed, but she had. So ask yourself, what if instead of complaining about what's missing, I appreciated what's here? How would my life change if gratitude was my first reaction, not anger? Because the more you focus on what's right in your life, the less power you give to what's wrong. And that's how you win, every single time. Number 9, reframe criticism as a tool for growth. Think back to the last time someone criticized you. Maybe it was your boss pointing out a mistake in your work. Maybe it was a friend making a comment about your life choices. Maybe it was a complete stranger online tearing you down for no reason at all. And how did you feel? Defensive? Embarrassed? Angry? That reaction is natural. Nobody likes to feel judged. But here's the truth. Criticism is one of the most valuable tools for growth, if you know how to use it. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If someone points out a flaw in you and it is true, then fix it. If it is false, then it does not concern you." In other words, if the criticism is valid, you've just been given a chance to improve. If the criticism is false, then it's nothing more than background noise. So why waste energy on it? Most people fear criticism because they see it as an attack. But the Stoics saw it differently. Criticism is information. Criticism is perspective. Criticism, whether fair or unfair, is an opportunity. So how do you turn criticism into growth? First, pause before reacting. When you hear criticism, resist the urge to respond immediately. Take a breath and give yourself a moment to think. Second, ask yourself, is there truth in this? If the answer is yes, use it to improve. If the answer is no, let it go. Not every opinion is worth your time. Third, reframe the situation. Instead of feeling attacked, view criticism as feedback, an opportunity to get better at something. The most successful people in history didn't avoid criticism. They learned from it. Take Mike, a retired business owner from New York. After decades of running a company, he thought he knew everything about leadership. But one day, a young employee challenged one of his decisions. His first instinct was to feel offended. After all, what could this person possibly teach him? But then he stopped. Instead of reacting, he asked himself, what if there's truth in what they're saying? So he listened. He considered the feedback. And in the end, that one piece of criticism made his business stronger. Had he let his ego get in the way, he would have dismissed it. Instead, he grew from it. Now ask yourself, what if every criticism, no matter how harsh, was actually an invitation to improve? What if I stopped fearing feedback and started using it as fuel for growth? Because the moment you stop seeing criticism as an attack and start seeing it as a tool, you become unstoppable. Number 10, master the art of letting go. Imagine gripping a hot coal, holding it tightly, waiting for the perfect moment to throw it at someone who wronged you. But as you wait, who's the one getting burned? That's exactly what happens when we hold on to anger, grudges, and resentment. We convince ourselves that by staying angry, we're punishing the other person. But the truth is, we're only punishing ourselves. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Think about it. How many times have you replayed an insult, a betrayal, or an argument in your head? How many hours, days, or even years have you spent holding on to resentment? Meanwhile, the person who wronged you has likely moved on. They're not losing sleep over it. They're not carrying the weight, you are. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in the past. And for what? Does it change what happened? Number, does it make you feel better? Number, does it bring you peace? Absolutely not. The only logical choice is to let go. But letting go doesn't mean forgetting, nor does it mean excusing bad behavior. It means choosing peace over pride. It means refusing to let someone else's actions control your emotions. It means accepting that the past cannot be changed, but your future can. You don't let go for them. You let go for yourself. So how do you master the art of letting go? First, acknowledge your emotions. Don't suppress them, face them. Say out loud, I feel hurt, I feel betrayed, I feel disappointed. Naming your emotions helps separate them from your identity. Second, reframe the situation. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Every hardship offers a lesson, whether it's about trust, boundaries, or self-respect. Third, focus on the present. The past is unchangeable, but your present isn't. Shift your energy to what you can control. Take David, a retired firefighter from California. For years, he held on to resentment toward his brother over a family dispute. They hadn't spoken in a decade, and David refused to forgive. He told himself he had every right to be angry. Then one day he came across a simple Stoic principle. You cannot control others, only yourself. And suddenly it clicked. His anger wasn't punishing his brother, it was only punishing him. So instead of waiting for an apology that might never come, he let go. Not because his brother deserved forgiveness, but because David deserved peace. And in that moment, he felt lighter, freer, and finally at ease. The great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not be disturbed by what is outside your power. Let it go, and you will find peace." So ask yourself, is this worth sacrificing my peace? What would my life look like if I released this anger? Because real strength isn't in holding on, it's in knowing when to let go. At the heart of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound truth. You have control over your mind, nothing else. The way you respond to challenges, criticism, and negativity is entirely in your hands. No one can steal your peace unless you allow them to. No one can dictate your emotions unless you hand over that power. And when you refuse to be controlled by external forces, you become truly free. Throughout this video, we've explored 10 powerful Stoic principles that can help you navigate life with greater clarity, resilience, and peace. We've learned that our reactions are a choice, that expecting others to behave as we would only leads to disappointment, and that the need to be right often costs us more than it's worth. We've seen how detaching from opinions, responding with silence, and practicing gratitude can transform frustration into wisdom. We've discovered that criticism, when used correctly, is a tool for growth. And most importantly, we've come to understand that true strength lies in letting go. Not for others, but for ourselves. But these aren't just ideas. They are tools. Practical, real-world strategies you can apply right now to free yourself from unnecessary stress, frustration, and emotional suffering. The modern world is filled with distractions, conflict, and noise. Social media thrives on outrage. The news cycles amplify fear. People seem quicker than ever to judge, criticize, and provoke. But in a world that constantly pulls you toward reaction, the greatest skill you can cultivate is calm awareness. So how do you apply these lessons in everyday life? Pause before you react. Before you respond in anger, before you let a rude comment ruin your day, before you allow frustration to consume you, stop. Take a deep breath and remember that your peace is your responsibility. Detach from what you cannot control. Whether it's someone else's behavior, an unfair situation, or the past itself, recognize what is beyond your influence and let it go. Focus on what truly matters. Redirect your energy toward personal growth, meaningful relationships, and the things that bring you fulfillment. Now ask yourself, what would my life look like if I stopped letting external things dictate my emotions? How much peace could I gain by simply choosing not to engage in negativity? Because the moment you take full ownership of your mind, everything changes. So as you move forward, remember, you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of the world. You are the master of your own peace. And in a chaotic world, that is the greatest freedom of all. If you found value in this video and want more wisdom on Stoicism, self-mastery, and inner peace, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us continue sharing powerful lessons that transform lives. Stay strong, stay mindful, and as always, choose peace over chaos.